sometimes follow rules. Some poems are about loss of feelings.
Ready, set, go.
Poems can be different. Poems can be silly. Poems can be in stories. Poems can be other doing things. I like the big words because I get to be loud. Some poems can be interesting, sometimes they are not. Poems can be about doing stuff. Poems can be silly. Poems can be like a song. Poems can be in stories. Some poems follow rules. Poems can be different. Some of the poems don't make sense. Some of the poems are little sentences.
Some poems can have many pages.
Poems can be about anything. Some poems are about lots of feelings.
I like the fancy writing in poems.
Some poems are in movies.
Have you ever seen earring fighting? Have you ever seen Wii jumping? Have you ever seen a chair urinating? Well, I have.
Have you ever seen a ghost swimming? Have you ever seen a TV playing? Have you ever seen a book squeezing? Well, I have. Have you ever heard a brook running? Have you ever heard a cardboard washing? Have you ever heard a chair laughing? Well, I do all the time. Have you ever heard a bird jumping? Have you ever heard a dog talking? Have you ever seen a ladder sneezing? Well, I do all the time. Have you ever heard a PSP running? Have you ever heard a bird sitting? Have you ever heard a sword washing? Well, I do all the time. Have you ever seen a TV sneezing? Have you ever seen Matthias working? Have you ever seen a pencil exercising? Well, I have. Have you ever heard a chipmunk sneezing? Have you ever heard a ghost playing? Have you ever heard a drum singing? Well, I do all the time. Have you ever heard a mouse singing? Have you ever heard a chair drinking? Have you ever heard a paper jumping? Well, I do all the time. Have you ever heard a spoon? Oh, have you ever seen a spoon crying? Have you ever seen a coffin? Have you ever seen a crocodile dancing? Have you ever heard a toilet swimming? Have you ever heard a ladder running? Have you ever heard a jacket eating? Well, I have all the time.
Have you ever heard a bench running? Have you ever heard a shoe walking? Have you ever heard a mouse working? Well, I do all the time. Have you ever seen a ball jumping? Have you ever seen a pen talking? Have you ever seen a radio running? Well, I have.
Have you ever heard a book sniffing? Have you ever heard a drum driving? Have you ever heard a pencil singing? Well, I do all the time.
Have you ever seen a bag tying? Have you ever seen a TV singing? Have you ever seen a mass exploding? Well, I have.
Have you ever heard a ball turning? Have you ever heard a bat flying? Have you ever heard a book dancing? Well, I do all the time.
Have you ever heard a flower running? Have you ever heard a book hopping? Have you ever heard a tiger walking? Well, I have all the time.
They don't always have to rhyme. Poems can be so happy.
Poems can use lots of imagination in lots of juicy words.